Looking at this specific assignment, I wanted to ensure that it linked to the MA project, particularly the concept and themes discussed, the first of which being branding identity, the incorporation of a brand's ethos into the visual communication tools directed at the consumer or client. Looking at branding identity in interior design, the concept that I focused on mainly was implementation. The implementation of materials and application techniques into the space to form the foundation on which the brand may be supported. Placement for maximum communication, in other words. When looking at implementation, it became apparent that focusing on the essence and visual representation was the focus. An underlying feeling, the atmosphere translated to the user, the implicit focus, not necessarily the explicit focus, when discussing the brand and its representation. The second concept and theme which is addressed is interdisciplinary collaboration, looking at how to best acknowledge and make use of the strengths of various professions and at what level these strengths will interact with one another by project, client, and professional profiling. When looking at interdisciplinary collaboration, it's important that this topic is addressed in relation to choice, which for specifics may subsequently link and be implemented in the material selection, the specifications, and installation methods and application. When deciding on a choice, it's important to look at possibly word association, the psychology behind attachments and values. This could be quality. The co-creation, which could be the seamless existence between juxtaposed ideas. All of this will help in translating what is and what could be in terms of tactile and visual representation. The third and final concept and theme looked at is restoration design. Understanding how the consumer engages with the space through service design will give indicators on which elements of old and which elements of new best complement each other for optimal development of meaning and attachment between the user and project. When looking at restoration design, the idea of form is going to be looked at in terms of the merging of materials, spaces, and techniques, design elements itself, the element of shape, form, and position. How is the designer going to formulate their thoughts and package it so that the correct communication happens between project and user? When looking at restoration design, it is important to consider concept and visual representation, the design thought process behind the design elements. For example, what is the essence of interdisciplinary collaboration? Does this mean innovation for the project or corporate design for that matter? Does it need to be reevaluated? All of these need to be considered when designing elements for the project. When breaking ground on a new project, it is important to consider case studies, looking at brands and companies that have addressed similar topics to those which are being explored, and identify what was the design outcomes? How was this package put together and presented to the public? What was the communication tools used? This acts as a fantastic reference point. David Vincent prides themselves on the collaboration of a variety of skills with either the expertise of one individual or multiple individuals. This allows the team to nurture the project instead of turnover at a high speed, quality over quantity. A rare combination, especially when dealing with corporate projects. Each project is approached individually, with the brand outlining the parameters of the style, look, feel, concept type, rather than trend dictated. This is an important element to the unique blend of project styles the company has. Yes, there are workmanship and design principles which remain constant. However, no two projects are alike, an edge needed by businesses saturated with competition. Custom fabrications designed specifically for each project allows for design expression as well as creating pieces that are multifunctional with the capability to act as grounding focal points within the design, capturing the brand identity. As the team is present from the inception of the project and throughout each phase, the end vision in mind throughout creates the opportunity for restoration of several materials. When given the theme bridging distance, it became clear that the end project needed to answer a creative brief. Every project starts with a creative brief, but very few end up exceptional. Understanding what exactly a creative brief was to begin with helped to educate and answer the questions surrounding the concept that needed to be developed. When looking to develop a creative brief with the solution being exceptional, the ideas of clarity of purpose, simplicity, problem solving, and profiling were all ideas and themes that were given consideration when approaching the bridging distance theme. John C. Jay said, "A brief has to be given a lot of room, a long runway so you can take off." The idea of imagination, the idea of no boundaries, the idea of putting everything on a page and then later refining was a key methodology used when approaching this theme. So, what was my creative stimulation based off of? I had to develop the brand, develop a method of bridging the distance through engagement between the user's needs and the company's skills, using the strengths of the company as an anchor. So, what did this creative solution look like? It was the ability to capture the interior design firm's host of several skills, the user having the ability to understand the process, the company focusing on fabrications and refurbishments, which are custom, and the potential to grow before the eyes of the user. The transparent David Vincent's office studio space concept allowed for the process to take place before the eyes of the onlooker user or potential client, from concept to prototyping. It would be held in the city center, and it would hopefully be the refurbishment of an iconic building to create attraction. A time-lapse video on site would help to track progress. The showcase of the company's interdisciplinary collaboration skill set, as well as the individual's engagement, would exhibit the full turnkey approach. The site would give context and a point of reference, while the time-lapse would allow for the building blocks, the recap that the passers-by would require as a touch point of engagement.